back to Grappling with Insanity. Today we're going to review the Fav Uke, or your favorite Uke. I'm sure you started seeing some ads on Facebook and Instagram of the Fav Uke. I started seeing them maybe about a month and a half or so ago, maybe 2 months now. And I purchased one because I wanted a dummy that was kneeling. And I also wanted to get one that was this synthetic leather, just to try it out. Now, what was also interesting about this one, it was fairly reasonably priced. I mean, it's still pricey, but I am not going to be one who's going to be going out and grappling in this time frame. I'm not going to be finding a pod to grapple with. I really need to isolate at home. I need to take care of the people that are in my home that are vulnerable. So that's not an option. I find the option to have a grappling dummy that's a little more sturdy, might offer me a few more techniques that I can't do on my other dummy, which is not, it's canvas, it's like flat. So it kind of just sprawls out. There's no form or function. I can do things on it and I like it. It serves a purpose. And as we get into it, I may kind of compare and contrast a little bit with the Fav Uke. What's better on that one versus this one. Overall, the differences and what I like in each one. But I don't want to do a compare and contrast right now. I'm just going to review the Fav Uke. So one of the things that when I started looking at dummies, and the reason why I built one 15 years ago was, again, these prices of these dummies were very high. You know, we're talking $400, $500, $600 for grappling dummies that you know, did one thing, and you grappled with them. You didn't see a lot of people throwing them. They're grappling dummies on the ground, and that was too much for me. There's no way I could say I'm going to buy a grappling dummy, and I wasn't even sure how long I was going to, how often I would use it. It was one of those things like, man, I can't do everything with it. I can't throw with it. It's not going to give me a real response back. So that wasn't in my mind. But what I came up with was the grappling dummy that's back there. I rebuilt him 3 times now, and while he's been a good dummy, he's gone from everywhere from being 140 pounds, 150 pounds, down to this last one, which he's pretty light. He's pretty light, and the limbs aren't as realistic as they once were. But I kind of moved away from him. I wanted to get a different dummy, and I started working one back in February that I bought off Amazon for about $50 or so. I filled it similar to the way I filled this one, and while that was good and great, the other one doesn't allow me to do anything more from this kneeling position. So I started looking around, and I started seeing the ads for this one, and this one I realized what I was looking for after working with a couple of the other dummies I have, that both the other canvas dummy and the one I made don't do what this one can do. I remember seeing a video. If you go online right now, if you've been looking for dummies, and if you're watching this, obviously you've been researching and reviewing dummies, or you saw this one, you're like, hey, this guy's doing reviewing on it. There's not really any reviews on the Fav Uke. Chewy, I'm sure if you've gone on and done anything, you've seen Chewy, Nick Albin. He's done a couple of videos. I think this most recent one he did in April of this year, where someone asked him to kind of revamp or redo his consideration of our grappling dummy is worth it. And the new video probably has like 30-some thousand views. But he still holds the line that he doesn't consider the grappling dummies worth it. He thinks that there's other things that you can be doing that during this time that you're not going to be losing your technique. Other people are going to be losing their technique at the same rate, but that's not the case. There's a lot of people that are grappling now, as we're talking about the 7th month of quarantine kind of situation. So these dummies start looking more and more, they start looking a little different for people who are not grappling, who can't afford to go out, who have people that are vulnerable, that we can't go out and have a grappling pod, or we just can't go ahead and accept the COVID illness. So these become more of an option. And with this one being the price around the $130 range, that was the interesting part about this dummy. It was not too much, and it wasn't the crazy price. So Chewy had a couple videos talking about how the video of grappling knives weren't worth it. When he did his original video, I think he was also coming from the place that the dummies were not as affordable as they are now. You know, we're talking about $50 dummies that you know, people spend $50 maybe during the week on coffee at Starbucks, you know. So they can become a useful tool, and whether you get down there once or twice a week, once a month, you know, $50 for $60 for a grappling dummy is just like cut out your coffee at Starbucks. So I think that's where his reviews were coming from regarding the grappling dummies. Now, you can also, depending on what you want to use a grappling dummy for, you may want to go with his suggestion of just using like a heavy bag. If you're looking to get cardio in, you can simulate a lot of different things with a heavy bag. What Chewy was talking about in his video, that you can work on flexibility, you can work on your nutrition, you can work on your cardio, those are all legit. But there's really no reason why you could say poo-poo the grappling dummy right now. Who knows how much longer we'll be doing the quarantine, but like, I've been using a grappling dummy for 15 years. What I would typically do is, after I get done with class 3-4 times a week, I come home, work out my techniques on the dummy that I can, write my notes down, and get some reps in here and there on the days that I wasn't going in on the weekend. Or if I had someone coming over and I was showing them, I didn't have another partner, I could show it on the dummy. Here's a hip bump, you know, over into, you know, an S-mount arm bar. I could show that on the dummy. Otherwise, if I did it on the person that I was teaching, they wouldn't be able to see it. So I think a grappling dummy is useful. And there's a number of people out there that are using them in their classes. It doesn't have to be like, don't use them, they're worthless or whatever. I think in this time right now, they do serve a purpose. So there are a number of people that are using these, that are not just, you know, guys like me who are sitting in their basement doing techniques and doing a YouTube with technique. There's guys out there like Rhadi Ferguson, who's an Olympic champion. Who promotes, and has probably been talking about getting grappling dummies for people well before the COVID, quarantine lockdown came in, and he talked about the benefits of that, of having a grappling dummy. There's, you know, a number of people where I've gone online and I see them running, you know, schools and programs right now where they don't have contact right now. They're keeping distance, and they have grappling dummies as part of their program. Dan Lucart. Out in California has a whole program, had a Zoom class with grappling. You're never going to substitute a real partner, but what this grappling dummy can give you is at least some reps, right? So you're never going to replace a live person, and you should never feel like the technique that I'm doing on this grappling dummy is the exact same technique I'm going to be doing on a live person or in a live roll or competition. It's just not the case. There's a lot of things I have to compensate with the dummy that I have to know from just doing jiu-jitsu. If I was a new person and I got a grappling dummy, I might not know how this person, if it was a real person, was going to respond. But I've been doing this for quite a while, so I know when I do get into scarf position and I, start wrapping the arm up, I know that the person might try to roll away from me or might try to roll into me, where a new person might just leave the dummy laying flat, right? So I know I can work in some specific behaviors and reactions into the dummy just from my experience. So understand that. Having a little bit more knowledge is beneficial when you have a dummy, because you can simulate the moves a little more realistically. Again, you're not going to get it totally, but you can get a little bit more. So what you get, let's talk about what you get. First of all, what you get is a dummy that kneels, right? He doesn't stand up. So if I were to lift the Fav Uke, his legs are gonna stay bent, right? So you're gonna get a dummy that kneels, or you're gonna get a dummy that, when they're on their back, has their legs up, right? You can work inside their open guard. They're not gonna give you a closed guard. You can work on passing. You can work on your guard. You can work in closed guard. You can work closed guard with them. You can work half guard. You can, so some of the positions you're gonna get in, you can work in your half guard, you can work your closed guard, your open guard, your lasso guard, put a gi on them. I'm sure that's the next question in here is, do they take a gi? They take a gi. But one of the things I want to point out right now is this is a little different structure with the Fav Uke. These arms work off a strap. They're strapped on, and this arm is not like a real arm, because you can do, you know, twirl it around. That's one of my concerns here, and that'll go into a little column of maybe one of my cons that I really don't like as much. The other part of this I don't like is when the arms do come off, your arm rubs against this real abrasive part of this Velcro. That's not real friendly. I imagine after a while, the Velcro is going to start to get a little worn or pick up dust or whatever, and these arms aren't going to stay on as easy. So, you know, they're just going to kind of fall away and pull away in here. Now I know there are other dummies that are similar to the structure, but what they do is they have a component here, a bolt of some sort to keep the arm on. But again, those dummies are $500. And that's that Ring the Cage. I know the Ring the Cage dummy consistently gets high marks for being one of the best dummies. But if you got the $500 to buy, you know, a grappling dummy, then go ahead and get it. But I think that falls in the line of what Chewy was talking about, is it's not worth it. It's kind of a waste of money, I think, at that point, unless you really have a huge need. I think this one serves the purpose. Now, can you make a modification to this? I'm sure you could. Putting something in here, I haven't gone into that far yet, but let's go ahead and keep on with this one. So some of the other things you're getting in here is, this one is synthetic leather. Now on their site, I believe they have some canvas ones, and I didn't research that. My goal was to get synthetic leather because I have canvas, and the canvas one, the legs, they don't keep the form and function. It'll kind of flop all over. So what I really like is, you know, this arm stays bent all the time. Another thing that this dummy has are hands, right? Individual hands, they're supported by these straps, these synthetic leather straps, 2 straps on each side. And the same with the feet. The feet are independent too. All right. Again, you don't want to get into too many twisting, but you can get a purchase in here. You get, you know, a grip for a heel hook. You know, you can get in here. You know, if you're doing your ankle locks, you know, you want to find the feet on the back of your armpit. You have that right there. This is a decent dummy if you're doing, you know, instance in kakus. You're doing some. Now, if you want to do a straight knee bar, not going to happen. This dummy is sewn in a way that keeps that shape. So it's going to have his legs bent like this the whole time, right? Another thing this dummy has, it has 7 individual compartments for filling. Now the dummy comes unfilled. So I have a video filling this dummy, and what I basically did is took a heavy bag, a 60-pound heavy bag, and took all the stuffing out and stuffed this dummy. Now in some areas I did push some shirts in there, I cut some shirts up. Some areas I used old rash guards so they could get into these corners a little bit better. And then what you do is these have zippers here. 7 compartments, 1, 2, then you have one for the body, the legs, and the head. That's 3. Then you have one for the arm. Each arm has one. So you got 4, 5, and then you have the hands, 6 and 7. Now for me, this little zipper is difficult for me to get my hand in. So when you're filling this, I have, like I've said before in my video, you kind of have to have small hands like carny folk, you know, smell like cabbage, to stuff these, to stuff and fill these. So what I did is I used a stick and kind of packed it down. There are some areas in here where I still need to go back and refill. Now that I've been using it and laying on it, I've compressed a lot of the stuffing that's in there. So you have 7 compartments. When my dummy came, and I also did another video on this one, I'll put a link in there, or you can check my site out. The face, you can see here, it has kind of a face that sticks out, and it's stitched down here. Well, there was no opening to get into this. Now that was just an error in manufacturing, and I don't know if they've corrected that. But what I did is, I went and I took stuffing out, went inside, I cut it, made a little cut inside, maybe about 3-4 inches wide, in between the face and the head, and then I just filled it up. The reason why I wanted it filled is because it gives me this chin. And now if you're also following along, again, I got more videos on this. We're doing a whole front headlock series where we utilize a chin strap. But this is also great for doing, you know, your rear naked choke kind of stuff, any kind of choke, so you have a chin. Some of the other dummies that you get, you don't get this nice neck. You know, this neck actually tapers down. So when you're putting your arm around, you can actually get around, do your naked chokes more where this neck is a little bit wider. Now some of the other dummies that you get that are canvas, that are on the lower end, the head basically comes down and just kind of goes straight down. There's no neck. It's like Ray Nitschke, you know, just kind of have a no neck. There's it just all flat, and also on the face it's flat, so there's no chin. So the way it looks in the back is the way the other dummies are. Now again, you can get some vinyl dummies, and again, I haven't looked at those. I haven't done a ton of reviews, but I thought since everybody is been asking me questions about the Fav Uke, I'll just go ahead and do a review on it. One of the other things that I noticed with this dummy compared to my other dummies that I filled, again, this one had 7 compartments. The other one I filled had 1 compartment. So I had to fill all the arms, the feet, the legs, the head. It didn't have hands, but it only had 1 zipper. And that zipper was about 14 inches, 15 inches long. This one's much smaller. This one's probably like 9 inches. And so again, it was much harder to work. A little more challenging to work in here. Also, like, it doesn't have Velcro. So sometimes the zipper slowly creeps up. And what I did is I zipped it shut, and then I took the handle that's here, pushed it on the inside, and this kind of pushed the zipper down so that handle isn't flying up, right? Sometimes these open up here. You just gotta close them up. Not a big deal. It holds its form and function fairly well. The chin's nice. As you can see, the head was like this, but because we're doing a lot of headlocks, some guillotines, arm triangle stuff, it's starting to break down and get compressed. So the body parts, some of the other dummies that you get, these arms and limbs are pretty small. I mean, sometimes the arm's right here, and when you go to do an arm bar, it's like, it's not even, you can't even get it there. This one you can get there, it breaks away and you can get the arm. All right, so these limbs are fairly accurate. From my elbow to my shoulder, it's pretty close. I mean, a little short, it's right there, but this forearm, it's about the same height, same length in my hands. So it's fairly realistic that way. The head is roughly my head. I mean, if I were to put my hat on it, these come with, you know, the arm retracts back. So if you do an arm bar, it comes back. But then there's also those dummies that are really light. And again, some of the names escape me, and I haven't reviewed them. I've only looked at tons of video. I watch people practice with them. They look light. Some of them are really, while the articulation on the arms and the hands and the shoulders and all that work great. They're awesome. You know, you get full extension and they retract back. They're really light dummies, and some of it's a trade-off. Another thing about this dummy is that it's really easy to clean because it's synthetic leather. You can just wipe it down. It's not going to absorb sweat, so it's not going to get the funky smells. I can have someone else use this hopefully when we get out of quarantine. And then training someone, I can have someone use this if they don't have a partner. And then I can wipe it down and not worry about getting, you know, gross or whatever because of their sweat. So I kind of touched on a little bit was with the hands. You know, you can get in here and do wrist locks. You know, you gotta come along, options come along. So some of the cons about the dummy that are, they're not deal killers for me, but it's gonna be difficult to find a dummy that does everything you want it to. Like this dummy, I can't do throws with. He doesn't stand up. My other dummy, I can create a system for the dummy by putting in like some broom handles or some PVC pipes to make them stand, and I can do throws with that one. Dummy that does it all, it doesn't happen. Can I do some pounding on this one? Sure, you can do some pounding. You know, there's no reason why you can't. Am I going to do a lot of Kimuras? Well, it's going to be difficult because this arm is not giving any resistance. You know, it flaps in here, it flaps around. It's not, that's the one thing right now that I see is the strap, while it's stitched nicely and looks strong, it's double stitched. It looks like it'll hold up well. The part that gets annoying is when they do fall off. This Velcro here is no bueno, no good. At any rate, this dummy here was price point on it is midpoint, like 130 or so. Some of the other dummies you can get on Amazon are right around, can be between 30 to 70, you know, to $80. The things that'll vary in those will be the way they are in canvas. Canvas, different types of canvas might be heavier, thinner. You're not going to get something that stays in, you know, with the form and function of this grappling dummy. This dummy, you can put a gi on it. I put a gi on it. I took the gi off just so you can see the dummy right now. But I usually have gi bottoms on it. Take a look at my videos. I have gi bottoms on it. I have a t-shirt on it. The t-shirt is trying to deal with this Velcro issue. Like I said, I like this dummy. And I'm going to be doing probably some closed guard stuff. I'm going to do some reverse Kimura stuff to the back. When you put a gi top on it, it keeps these arms from really spinning around. So that's why I think be careful putting a nice rash guard on it, because this Velcro is going to chew up your nice rash guard. So put a crummy rash guard on it. If you're looking at getting one, just be aware of the arm issue.